We go. I do believe we're live. So I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here again on another conscious evolution, another opportunity for us to consider what is real. I had one of those moments where I woke up and I went through my day, and then I found myself recalling memories that I was not sure if they were my own. You know what I mean? Felt like I was remembering something of my life, but as I was trying to remember the something of my life, it felt like it was a dream that I was retroactively re-experiencing. And then upon asking myself, is this a dream I'm retroactively experiencing? I have to ask myself, what is real? I says, with a healthy amount of skepticism. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I'm real. I feel real at least. Maybe that's all that matters, right? I think, therefore I am. The air I'm breathing is real. That's simple enough to conclude. But then it extends into the experiential, right? The beyond just the breathing of air and the being of self. It extends into the world. It extends into what we think is going to happen. It extends into investment, even, right? If you're investing in something, even be it something like your energy, your time into a project, there is something you believe to be real about that, or something that you can bring that is real into that, right? Maybe you put in all of that energy in a hope of it becoming real eventually. What is real? What we think about the experience, that's definitely real. I like that, show. I do like that. What we think about the experience is what's real about it. You see, but my mind instantly tries and pokes holes in that argument too. Where it's the whole fractal of like, if I think about the experience, and this is how you're right, Joe. Let's simplify it into a social exchange, right? Maybe there's a group of people on the other side of the room, and then you see them looking towards your direction, and then they're laughing, right? In your perception, what is real might be that they're laughing at you. When maybe there's some sort of misspelled piece of text on that side of you, and they're laughing at the fact that the text was misspelled. And in that way, as Joe said, what is real is an experiential thing. If it's experiential, if you feel experientially that they're laughing at you, then that might as well be real because you get all of the feelings associated with it. However, even though that is real, like there's a base layer reality that is your experience, there is a layer of real missing in the actual reality of having the full knowing of what they actually were laughing at. Maybe they were laughing at you, after all, right? And then you can have your suspicions confirmed. And upon having your suspicions confirmed, it becomes real, right? But even in doing so, the realness of that situation will change. I feel if you walk up to those people and laughing at you, at least now you know. Maybe you can even be a part of the joke. Maybe you can lean into it. So, what's real is relative, definitely. Isn't that like an Einstein thing as well? It's nice having new friends here. If it's your first time you're seeing me, do subscribe. It helps a lot, like a lot. And I show up every single day, day after day, for these live streams. So if you subscribe today, and maybe you cannot spend a moment longer here right now, you can bet tomorrow around the same time I'm gonna be here again with the intent of considering. Today we're considering what's real, right? For instance, this thing just told me there were 23 and then 21 and now 16 people in this live stream alongside me. And in that, I have to ask myself the question of like, are you real? Some of you are. How many of you aren't? What does that real mean? Again, it would be more real to me if you subscribed. More real to me still if you commented. More real to me still if you became a member of the community and I could see your name iteratively day after day, building a life together, right? Like, there is realness to this space as well. And what is real in this space to me and you, having been here, having shown up iteratively, might not be real to another person because they haven't shown up iteratively. They haven't made the real. Like, and again, right? It's just as real to me. This is just as real to me as it always has been. But you might be a brand new friend. And in that way, this thing that's very real to me, 1,526 days of my life of real, right, might just be today to you. Maybe it's not real. Maybe I'm not real. Maybe I'm just some simulation. I feel like we're lucky that Jovan came and made sure. I wouldn't be too convinced either if it wasn't for her. Oh, bless. That's a good one. I like this new world experiential. Yeah. 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 It's pretty interesting. Getting to dream. Getting to wonder whether or not this is real. Suddenly, I came too much to the terms of being real, and I had to like roll myself back to being surreal a little bit more again. Ah, yes, this is better. It's almost it's almost like maybe for a moment there, because I could see some what feels like damage on my hand, right? Like some skin creating a blister. Ah, okay. I was like, what? And then I remembered I was doing things in the garden today. I hate that my hands are so soft. Garden tools and my hands are made of different substances. One is made of metal and one is made of flesh. All right. And then as I noticed that, I went down the rabbit hole of like, oh, how did that happen? Right. And then I had to come to the conclusion that something real had to happen for me to have sustained damage. And the reality of that caught me for a second, like a trap. Coming back, meow loud, so nice to see you in yoga today. Bless, it really was. I'm not missing other people's experience. And if I hear the laughter, I hear the laughter. What I think doesn't exist. Yeah. Within Buddhist philosophy, this is true. You don't even exist. Never mind what you think exists. You don't. You're not even of existence. Right? But still, there exists nugs in this little glass jar. And every single time I realize that they're real and I interface with their reality, there is less There is less of it. And that's a part of it. All right? That's a part of the experience. That's what makes this whole life thing beautifully impermanent. That nug looks fantastic. But I've tried some of it before. That nug looks gorgeous too. Also had a taste. I don't think I've had any of this before. It is the smallest one I have. They smell incredible. This one is the biggest one of the ones I haven't tried. So I'll take off a little piece. And that'll be our medicine for today. I really wish I could just shake this little jar and more nugs of this caliber appear. So that liver lamb and Bedell. Jeebs. It's nice seeing your friends here. God bless you, Melty. Sending you positive vibes. Your positive vibes have been received and being sent right back to you. These were gifted nugs from Canna Chris. So I get to be especially grateful, especially blessed to have the flowers grown by other people here for me right now. I've been partaking mostly of my own flowers for a while, and trying other people's feels I want to use the word honorable, but I don't feel if it's honorable. If it feels like it is an honor to be able to try other. It's an honor to. Yes, words are hard. When it comes to belief, wait a second. Reality is relative, says Joe, but that's one of the reasons too why I think there's so much strength in numbers. Yeah, when people come to a conclusion, when people can agree on what reality is, not an easy task, but once that consensus is reached, there is a kind of realness. All right. As soon as that moment sets in where we're like, oh, this is real. All right, that can change things. Hey, see Nancy here too. And Jopo as well. Went to sleep early. Woke up early. I can feel us being a little bit less tired today, Nancy. It smells very citrusy. Very, very citrusy. I like it. Let's try it. Oh, no, 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 no. The fact that I can experience something unreal in my imagination. Time moving forward. Something unreal in imagination. I'm imagining a massive city on the water. And it might be unreal in this world we're in right now. But I can see us making it a reality. I think maybe that's something to be said. There is something to be said about that part of reality as well. Is that there can be things in our minds that are real to us. And then if we hold that thing that we believe is real hard enough, we might just be able to make it real in the actual world. That's pretty cool. That's some pretty power. If you ask me, I'll let you know. Human beings are pretty cool. Love is true. Buddhist philosophy isn't that things aren't real. No, it's that you aren't real. It's that things are interdependent and nothing exists from its own side by itself. Yes. Right? So when I say you aren't real, it's that whole fractal of you come to this conclusion of who you are, what you are. Oh, I'm a human. I live in this country. There's all of these layers, right? And there's this narrative and this idea of who you are to yourself in your head. But as soon as you meet another person, they have a whole different mental inner dialogue of what you are, who you are, right, in their world, in that way. And in that way, the you think you are doesn't exist, right? Takes a little bit longer to talk about it from that perspective, but you're right. You're right in what you're saying as well, Nancy, that nothing exists by its from its own side by itself, right? There's no you existing as you are independently from everything else. We're all one, right? The unity of this experience kind of has to take precedent. Just saying, I appreciate you adding yours, Nancy. Bless your friend. Went to sleep. I hope we all get the real things. See you, friends. Bless your dream. It was nice having you. I stubbed my toe on a brick. That felt pretty real. I even talked about that during my yoga practice, Joe. How sometimes the uncomfortable can feel the most real. Right? That when you're on your yoga mat and you're doing your stretches, those uncomfortable moments, you don't always want to be real in that way too. Stubbing your toe against the brick, it's very convincing when it comes to how real this experience is. Some people believe that you can only truly experience life. Hey, Tommy, what's up with you? You can only experience life, and within today's stream topic, you can only experience what's real at the edge of a spear. Right? You have to like have that spear pointing into your core, and you have to like flex your core super hard so that spear doesn't just go straight through you. Only then, with you balancing on that spear, flexing your core, are you actually real. Is life actually there? Just came to visit you. Aw, that's nice. Bye. And then pieces out again. That's nice, Tommy. I appreciate that, friend. Hope you have a beautiful day too. Have a good one. I'll see you again soon on the other side. Melty, Melty, good morning. Good morning, Bojo. Something, something, something. Perception is reality. Not both sides can be argued amongst philosophers. It's true. It smells good. That's like some of the most gas, while at the same time citrus flavors I've had. Usually they don't mix that well. Usually you either get lemony flavors or you get gassy flavors. This one was both. Could be like a, I don't even know if it is, but a sour diesel-y type of fractal. I see Luke here too. Sending you blessings, bro. Love you all. Oh, so freaking much. We love you too, bro. Again, gas, and then lemon, and then a little bit of anise, like licorice flavors as well. I really like that. I think one of the things I really experience when I smoke, when I vape weed like this, is that it really does bring into stark contrast every other experience I've had. Right. I do believe that I can grow well, and I've been told by people that the buds that I have produced are of high quality, both experientially and visibly. However, my nugs do not look the way Kenna Chris's does. Right, and it's almost absurd to me how frosted these things are. Like if you told me they dip these things in sand afterwards, I'd be like, yeah, I believe you. And then there's the matter of you can acquire, but that quality. But the amount you end up paying for it has me doubting whether or not it's worth it. I think it always is. Uh, Maybe worth it is not the question. Maybe it's affordable or not. Is it affordable? I think if I changed my relationship with the experience, maybe it could be. Where instead of having a little bit more of a daily relationship with Mary, it could be a once a week kind of thing, or maybe on the weekends kind of thing. That way, it makes it a little bit easier to justify getting the nice nugs. I got myself some nugs for like $1.50 a gram. And they're not. Oh, is that pineapple cubes? Holy shit. So nice seeing your name, bro. Pineapple cubed are just the way to go. It's nice having you, bro. Bless you. Yeah, so it's not like bad weed, but it's clearly $1.50 weed in South Africa, right? Maybe you'd pay like I guess like $5 a gram, maybe less than that in America for it. But it's just like, this is not the best nugs I've ever had, visually or taste wise. Tastes for both of them are kind of like sharp berries, and the other one is almost more like a earthy, flat fruit, as a flavor profile. Pineapple cubed. I'm pretty sure you used to be a partaker of the Mary as well, right? The name Pineapple Cubed feels pretty stonery as well. Do let me know. Are you still amongst us? It's nice having you here, friend. How long has it been? How long has it been? It's definitely been a while. Arpan was even longer ago. A lot has changed, and a lot more will change still. Oh, it's nice having these moments to come back to. I don't know why, but the visual of a pineapple cube is really appealing to me. I'm wondering, Nancy, when you visualize a pineapple cube, do you envision it being just like a cube cut out of a pineapple with the core being at the center? Or do you imagine a cube of pineapple that is without core? Do you imagine this cube of pineapple a size larger or smaller relative to how big it could be? In other words, in the real world, since we're talking about what's real or not, you could imagine a cube of pineapple maybe like this big, right? You could cut that out of a pineapple. However, a pineapple cube this big, suddenly that seems unreasonable. But within the mind, I can give myself the biggest pineapple cube I could imagine. Why did you do that, bruh? Because I could, and as I'm saying this sentence, I could give myself the biggest pineapple cube imagined. It went, gave me pineapple cube that was like the size of my face, and then I tried to like bite in. Going into it, it was the size of a car, relatively. And in my mind's eye, a car was standing next to it to give you a sense of scale. And then before I knew, again, as the sentence goes on, the cube is like the size of a building, with building next to it for scale. And then it just like went like a whole order of magnitude. And it was like Everest. Everest is a mountain. Like almost like looking like a bump, looking like a big little protrusion on a very flat surface, and then this pineapple cube, quark, right, like Everest, and then pineapple cube. Yes, not real, Not real. Thank goodness. Pineapple cube that size, it probably become a new moon. But how cool would that be? Having a pineapple cube for one of our moons. Imagine explaining that to the future generations. Luckily, we won't have to because it's not real. I hope I'm pushing the buttons of this whole what's real and what's not thing. Because again, experientially, we're having an experience, right? And we were talking about Joe actually mentioned right from the start that what's real is about the experience. All of us had an experience, a definite, real experience of considering a pineapple cube. But that pineapple cube doesn't exist, couldn't exist, right? It's impossible for it to exist. But still, an experience was had in considering it. Real. How about this real we're having? Pineapple by pineapple by pineapple. Been 3 years, Melty. 3 long, lengthy years since I first entered your stream. Great to see you again, friend. Great to see you too. 3 years is a long time. Married, having known each other for far less. I don't know why that came up. I went down a rabbit hole of a story of two people that got married after knowing each other for 2 months. And it was just so stark to me of like, oh, you can do that. You can do that too. And it was just as real, right? Those two people ended up breaking up and then coming back together again and then breaking up and coming back together again. So the conception, the perception of what is real still was, love is true no matter what. I'm going through a whole thing of thinking about how real can be relative to time to some people, right? Almost like you give yourself more room to feel into what is real because you've given yourself enough time to actually consider whether it's not, whether it is or not. The whole Terence McKenna thing of like arm reached out of a healthy amount of skepticism, stepping into the world. And if you find something real, and this is the big reveal, what's real to me is love. That seems to be the one real thing, right? Because it's clear to me more and more so that reality is less real than love to me. At least from the perspective of what it is I'm really seeking. All right, like reality from the perspective is like it's real. All right, and from that perspective, like it's real that I can drown in water, but it's also real that I can wash myself with it. So from that perspective, I want in my reality the real thing that is water to be liquid. Right? And then the same thing goes like for the realness of a building or an enclosed space to keep myself away from the elements. Right? I'm willing to acknowledge the realness that is weather and that is Mama Gaia's fury. So that's also something real. Again, predictable. Wow, water and housing? There is the reality, the very real fact that I need to eat. I do need to, still at this point, I don't know if I'll be able to escape this, but at this point, this body needs to consume energy. I need to put stuff into it. Otherwise, it perishes. All right. So again, I'll probably need that part of reality too. And further beyond that, like suddenly it's like the externalities of what's real. Like I have to complexify what's real to me very quickly, outside of making sure that we have those things and that we ensure that love is true in the appreciation of those things as well. My mind is going down this rabbit hole of, is the economy real? And if you like actually had to go and look into it, a lot of it isn't. I'm not saying all of it isn't, but a lot of it's me again, the 6-year-old yam yam burger. It is. You are 6, right? I don't know if you want to hear this conversation, friend. Right? Usually we talk about stuff that's a little bit more ethereal and out there sometimes, but today we're talking about the economy. At least in part. We're talking about what's real, actually, and asking the question of like, is the economy real? I wonder what the language model would say if you ask it a question like that. We're going down this rabbit hole of asking what is real. And we've gone down the experiential side of it. We've gone down the side of it that's love, for me at the very least, that love is real. It's one of those things that I seek almost like an anchor. That I can acknowledge that there are real things like the weather, like rain, and then this want for something real, like a building, a roof over my head, the reality that I need to drink water and eat food. But then we start almost like having to complexify that which we believe is real. And it leads me to asking the as we have it right now, right? Because a lot of our value is technically caught up in speculation when it comes to some of what our companies do. And in that way, what's real is very relative, right? Like from the whole rabbit hole of if your if your landlord charges you more per month for the exact same apartment, technically nothing has changed. Maybe even, relatively speaking, some things could have, been broken in the meanwhile. So the actual value of that space might be worth less, but them charging you more is a signal for the economy being healthy. All right, and in that way, is it real? How much of it is real? And what does that mean for what we think is real as well? I don't think the economy is going to go away, right? Just to like say that from a standalone perspective as well. But I think we definitely are going to reevaluate which which parts of the economy it is we want to store our value in, right? And it does seem like if you just look at what's going on in the world right now, it does seem to be like a whole reshuffling. The amount of uncertainty and tensions and deep breaths and sighs. What's our kind of like outlook going forward? I'm curious what the language model's perspective is. You having access to all of this information, maybe you can even give us some historical examples of things like this unfolding and how things ended up being okay on the other side. Happy Friday. Is it Friday? It is Friday. Hey, Nancy. Thank you again for being here. Happy Friday to you, too. Shiny, happy watermelon and pineapple curves. Sending you love. Uh, but I think I. Oh, no, let me just try this again. It's having a hard time converting the text. Hope to catch you all soon. Bless you, friend. Next time we'll be here again for you. In theory, if you place the cube container over a growing pineapple, it would grow cube shape. You see, there's more. There's more room to consider the cubed pineapples. 3 by 3 by 3. Sending you love. Ice cube trays. 3 pineapple moons would be even better. Shy. It's me again. Bless again. Imagine a cubed burger. Oh goodness. Burgers need to be wider, not taller. Anywho, I best be off. 1:30 a.m. here. I have work tomorrow. Actually, today. Sleep, dear friend. I'll be here again. Night, everyone. Good to see you again, Melty. Hope to catch you all soon. Bless you, friend. It was nice having you. Store value, Melt. You need a bank. I have a bank. I have a bank, but a bank doesn't store value. A bank gives you an IOU on your own money, right? And unfortunately, while they're holding onto that IOU on your money, they are definitely using it for their own, I want to say the word agenda, for their own strategy, let's say. Sounds better. They're strategizing. Oh, how can I make this Dara go further? How can I make it work harder, right? And then the bank does that. And in that way, sometimes someone stores their value in a stock because they believe that I can make my dollar do more work for me when they're working alongside the dollars that is this company. And again, we're now phase stepping onto the next layer, which is in part blockchain, right? And like, I didn't think it would happen the way that it did. We've talked about this technology and concept for a long time. And it's so polarizing the way that it's happening right now, the time at which it's happening, with the world being in the state that it is, with all of the gears and levers. There's so many people. There's so many of us. That's the thing. That's the cool thing about what the economy is that it's all of us. Right? It is what we spend our money on. And we can make it very clear how powerful we are when we come together, especially against certain companies. And we're seeing it, right? We are seeing it. Like, I don't know if this is going to bring happiness to some people, but if you bought Tesla stock, for example, at like the all-time high, which I think was in December, you would be down something like 35% just in like the last few months. And that's happening because people are just being like, nah, not buying these cars. And they're also being harassing. Is that the word you say it? They are harassing people that are buying those cars. So it's creating this double incentive. Like, one, I don't want to buy that car because, it's supporting someone I don't like. And two, I don't want to buy that car because people might not like me if I'm driving it. And just like that, just like that. Hey Google, show us the Tesla stock graph. How long it's gonna take to erode? Not too long. Yeah, in the last month alone, people are down 31%. Are you gonna load, bro? Come on, dude. You got one job. You gotta be graph. Can you be graph, please? Please, sir. Heavy breathing. Let me try another one. Let's go over the last 1 year. Right? Like that peak was in December. In December. And then it went and for the record, I don't have any Tesla stock. It would be great to have bought Tesla stock at like $11 a pop when that company was still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and to have sold it last December. That would have been great. But nay, and that the point is not about the actual, investment strategy or that as a perspective. It's more about the power of people. Oh goodness, people are very powerful. So very powerful. And in that way, that's the thing that I'm thinking about, is that we now very much are in a global shift. Relating it again to today's stream topic, there is a obsession almost with what's real and what people think is real. And how as soon as people don't think your intent, your intention is real, they can just like and then like hundreds of billions of dollars. Right? Like I think Elon Musk got less as less net worth than Bill Gates has net worth in the last like 3 months. Right? And this is not me calling to sympathize. I hope that's very clear. It's just this like, oh wow. Oh wow, people are very powerful. And I think maybe that's just going to be what ends up happening iteratively. Is that we're going to, in ourselves, gain that level of confidence that we are real, that our feelings are real, that our decisions, our perspectives, our direction is real. And that we can see those kind of influences in our world. This thing goes, instantly tries to like pat me on the back. It's like, hey bro, I'm gonna read that. There, working being the key phrase there. Birds chirping sounds. Me too. I also love the sounds of birds chirping. It's real, it says to me. Fine. Fine, whatever you say, bro. But not in the way of building or a rainy day. Not in the way of building or a rainy day is real. Okay? It's giving us nuance. It is a layered construct where tangible foundations, food, shelter, water, coexist with a vast network of shared beliefs, expectations, and yes, speculation. When your landlord hikes the rent for the same apartment, the physical space hasn't changed, but the price changed. And it's a signal that the market conditions, risk assessments, and future expectations, all somewhat intangible, are shifting. In other words, our economic reality is partly a social agreement on what things are worth. Historically, we've seen the dual nature of value many times. Take tulip mania. Of course, it goes for the tulip mania. And again, right, I feel like the tulip mania is one of those things that they use as like, oh, investment. Still to this day, the freaking Netherlands are like one of the main producers of tulips in the world, right? They have a thriving industry. They have thriving expertise. There's still people to this day feeding their families with that industry, right? So you're like, oh, we're not Tulamania. A whole industries got created and are still there to this day. I'm gonna like call it out in a second. Historically, we've seen the dual nature of value many times. Take tulip mania in the 1630s. People bid up the prices of tulip buds far beyond what they were worth in any practical sense, only to have the bubble burst with limited long-term damage. With limited long-term damage? In more impactful episodes, the dot-com bubble in 2000, the 1929 crash, and the 2008 financial crisis, the speculative excesses eventually corrected. Although these corrections were painful in the short run, they led to reforms, like the Glass-Steagall after 1929 or the Dodd-Frank after 2008, and reallocated capital to more sustainable, productive areas. In many cases, what seems like speculative value paved the way for innovations, that have become the backbone of today's economy. Think of how early internet speculation eventually gave rise to our modern digital infrastructure. Going forward, we're in a period of uncertainty and a reshuffling, where the question of what to store our value in is more pressing than ever. While asset prices today, whether in real estate, equities, or new areas like AI investments, both reflect fundamental demand and waves of speculation, history teaches us that markets are resilient. They correct, learn, and evolve. Our challenge is to discern which part of the economies are built on enduring fundamentals and which are riding on the fever of temporary optimism. In short, while the speculative they're very much a part of the economic tapestry that affects everyone's daily lives. I hear what you're saying, and I understand and agree for the most part. However, I do take some fault, is that the right way to say it, with the whole tulip mania comparison. Because even though it's true, that whole bubble burst, that whole crisis happened as well, there still to this day is a thriving industry where the tulip mania happened, right? Like there's still to this day people feeding their families with the industry that was built because of that whole mania. So in that way, like not only are markets resilient, but our species ends up benefiting even if there is like a reshuffling of where value is supposed to be stored. And now for the first time ever, we actually have tools like the internet that gives us a store of value that is not beholden to even a physical place, right? Like usually people could potentially steal your stuff by just accessing a box somewhere. Now we have like technically digital boxes with decentralized ledgers stored in cyberspace, right? And you have to have the key to unlock that cyberspace box, and you can unlock that cyberspace box anywhere in the world, anywhere you even have access to the internet. So, yeah, it's a wild ride being a human during this time. Like I don't know always how to cope with how surreal this reality is. Like how are we supposed to keep up as average people with the changing times? You know, I feel like maybe that's why people have this sense of disillusionment as well, of like it's not real, because it's almost too much, right? Having to accept that it's all real might be too much for some people. It's too much for me sometimes. Like I make myself forget. Is that the conclusion? Economic reality. What conclusion do you pull from it? Again, all economic reality has been created by people's power. Right? It's like people power all the way up and all the way down. So again, right, like I come from the fractal of not wanting to believe money is real. Not wanting to believe that we are in a system that has concepts like cost of living. However, in this system of money we're in, I do believe there is room for systems like universal basic income, which again does make us beholden to a larger system, but at the same time can quantify and ensure that there is at least enough for everybody to survive. And then if you want to add more value, you can in the whole capitalist way, right? Like it doesn't have to be one or the other in my mind. We can have both, coexisting. And it is very much from this perspective of almost like trying to game the system in our collective minds. Because again, it's we the people who are the powerful ones, and it's we the people who have to come to that point where we can make the decision to actually take care of people instead of exploiting people exclusively for the growth of the economy. And it is going to be this like aha moment of realizing that when people have food to eat, when people have, clothing and a place to sleep and wash their bodies, they are capable of doing more things. They're capable of being more valuable to the world, right? And I don't know what the lag is going to look like, because there are going to be some people, especially with how disillusioned we've become with our work-life balance, that are just going to completely fall away from society, right? As soon as they are allowed that comfort of existence, that will be enough for them. And who am I to say that that shouldn't be, okay as well? However, in that way, it's going to create a whole different playing field for those that do care and those that do want to add. That's the real reward, right? Like if every single person gets to live, right? Like there's no congratulations in just living. Now there has to be congratulations in making the world a better place to live, right? And again, people are powerful. And we can get to that point with certain economic levers, right? It's just a matter of not devaluing our currencies, or using currencies that are impossible to devalue, at least in the traditional sense, right? Anything can be devalued by sentiment, right? People, again, and their power deciding that they do not find something valuable. However, people and their power deciding to make more of the thing that people think is valuable because they have the power to, that's a different system we're playing against, right? It's like this weird dichotomy I have found myself within of being a hippie while at the same time understanding nature, right? Being a hippie, loving nature to the perspective of respecting it and honoring the work it takes, right? Proof. Everything around you is proof of work. Everything. Yam Yam Burger. You know what I mean? You know what blockchain is, dude? Jeez. If I could have known what blockchain is as a 6-year-old, I think my brain would be this big right now. Like this big of a brain. I'm joking, of course. That's not how it works. But I was more fascinated with chemistry as a 6-year-old than I was with, well, chemistry and computers. Than just computers. And then I got lost in games, bro. Man. Freaking games. It is completely normal to feel overwhelmed by the pace of change. After all, the shift from physical to digital stores of value, the rapid evolution of technology, and the constant reshuffling of economic truths can seem almost surreal. One way to frame it is that these disruptions, while disorienting, are also engines of progress. For instance, the tulip mania wasn't just a cautionary tale, it eventually led to innovations and industries that continue to support livelihoods even today. Yeah. Similar, the rise of digital assets isn't just a break from the past, it's an opening up of new possibilities for decentralization. Yeah, 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 yeah. Security. Yeah, yeah. And global access. Yeah. So, how do we keep up as an average person? Cultivating cultivating digital literacy and financial education, familiarizing yourself with basic concepts in digital finance like blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and decentralized systems can demystify these tools. This doesn't mean you need to become an expert, but understanding the basics helps ground you in a rapidly changing landscape. It's like we are now, that's maybe like one way to think of it as well, right? Like we are now in the age. Blockchain technology is technically like it came out like Bitcoin, the OG, blockchainos, came out in 2009, directly after the 2008 financial crisis, right? And good old Satoshi basically was like, bro, puts hand out and this because Rook, gestures broadly at 2008 financial crisis. And from there on, every single Bitcoin that got to be mined had to be mined by putting energy into that system, right? It's like a proof of work thing. That like the work had to be done. The energy had to be used for those units of information to exist, essentially, right? And they're pegged to an algorithm, which means there cannot be more of them than has been determined there will be ultimately, right? Creating a store of value that is unfungible, right? You can't touch it, right? And we human beings, unfortunately, more often than not, really like touching the shinies. Oh, geez, we can't help ourselves. Like we see the shinies right in front of our eyes, and we're like, we have put the shinies in cyberspace, right? Which makes it a little bit easier to leave the shinies alone. And it better shinies because you can't solve the math quick enough. All right, it's cool. It's very cool. It's very cool. The power just went off, and the kind of fractal that I'm seeing unfold right now is that we are in the same way as like the newspaper used to be, or traditional TV used to be, or writing letters to people on pieces of paper and then licking a freaking stamp and then pasting it on, right? That era of communication, right? That era of like capital and moving value around is now actively changing in our reality, right? And the same level of change that we've experienced having these things, there's going to be change having those things. And like, I mean, the power is off right now. I don't know why. My country's infrastructure is kind of scuffed. So they just like turn the power off. Is it? Oh, wow. Let me just check this quickly. I think it might be a scheduled power outage. It is. Huzzah. Yes, scheduled power outages. My friend, help. You need help? My friend, help? My friend, hello. Hey, Govity Goo. It's nice having you here, bro. We've been having some conversations. We've been having some conversations about what's real, dude. And like it led us to getting to the whole conversation about stores of value. What is a real way to store your value? Some people believe gold is real, right? Some people store their value in gold. I don't own any gold. And I don't really want to that much. Right. I think it would be nice to feel a little gold bar in my hand, just for the novelty of it. Maybe put some teeth mark in it or something. But realistically, there are other things in this world that's more real to me? And if you had to ask the next person over, what they think is real might be completely different. And it's been an interesting conversation considering. I did go down a little rabbit hole of trying to share some of the edumacations, but there are some more points. Embrace lifelong learning. Fine. The rapid pace of change means that learning isn't something that stops after school. Consider setting aside time, whether through online courses, reading, or discussion groups, to stay informed. When you feel more knowledgeable, the world can seem less chaotic. Yeah, that's why I try and share all of this cool stuff with you friends as well, right? Because I can feel very shaken, melted. Yes, I can be like, and finding like a moment of like, ooh, stability, casting myself into this consideration. It gives me some calm, and I share that with your friends. Hey, Kristen, it's nice seeing you, friend. Find community and reliable sources. Yeah. Focus on core values and well being. We do. And adopt a flexible mindset. We try. Is into the string. Yeah. The future is bright. The future has given us, and the future is now in that way too, tools that are very different to the ones we used to have. Right? Our traditional bank systems, our traditional stock systems, our traditional assets, our traditional metals, all of those things that we used to rely on as exchanges of value now has become digitized, right? And every single one of us with one of these cell phones have access to that world, right? And it's becoming real. It's becoming more and more real to more and more people. And I have hope that it's going to allow us to do more real things in this world too, right? That there is going to be a certain progress that arises from this perspective. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me for this vertical stream. I think I'm going to end it and start up the horizontal one next, after showing you yesterday's flower and reading you a poem. So the previous one was kind of like a little bit of a, you see that purple energy. It's still dark, but it doesn't really seem like it right now. It seems pretty crispy. And this is yesterday's. Yeah. Both supporters of my work. So I get to make one of these a day because they show up to see them. I absorb. Yes. Always maximum brightness. Never not maximum brightness. If the screen isn't screaming at your eyeballs, then it's not working. Like, I'm so pedantic about that if I could, like, override your system settings and force your screen to maximum overdrive when you view my art, I would. I would be like, yes. If view melt art, then crank brightness maximum. You have to kind of go squinty-eyed. Gabby Doo and Kristen too. Worky lurky, love you. We love you too, Xiao. Thank you for taking a moment from your workings to send us your lovin's. I'm gonna now read you a poem. A poem will be caressing your ears shortly. The Great Cosmic Sway, it's called. Life's a big wobbly seesaw, rocking between light and dark, loud and quiet, chaos and calm. And there you are, right in the middle, feet dangling, swaying with the rhythm, deciding which way to lean. Want more joy? Sprinkle it like salt. More kindness, pour it like a long, slow cup of tea. More peace. Breathe it in, breathe it out, let it ripple past you and catch the next breeze. And here's the thing. When you lean into what you want more of, you become it. You tip the balance, you close the gap, you are the bridge, the steady hand and the sway, the thread that weaves it all together. We aren't here to fix the world, but to strengthen it. Be the parts of it we need. Thank you, friends, for being the parts of the world that I need. I keep needing you day by day, and it's a pleasure showing up with you, friends. I'll see you in the next one in a moment. Goodbye, everybody. Love ya.